From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
Good afternoon, I'm Augusta McDonnell. We've got lots of sunshine across the state today, but rain moving in some parts. Meteorologist Miller Robson has our forecast.
Well, that's right, Augusta. We are seeing some rain, especially in our western counties. Otherwise, we're just seeing some clouds out there. Just take a look at some of the spots. Whitefish, you got the clouds moving in. Also seeing some cloudy skies in Butte. Butte, get ready. Got some rain on the way if you haven't seen it already. And also, we've seen a fair share of sunshine in Billings, but the clouds are starting to move in. Let's take a look at some temperatures across the area. You got 50s and 60s, and some of us getting into the 70s today briefly, and then we have this system that's going to be coming through. It's going to cool us down the next couple of days and bring mountain snow and lower elevation rain. And speaking of the rain, we still have a little bit of rain already kicking up out there around Powell County, also Glacier, around Cut Bank, also Butte down to Dillon in Beaverhead. But we've got more on the way spreading across. Details coming up.
And in today's leading look, a man is facing an attempted homicide charge after allegedly firing shots in Belgrade early Saturday morning. Here's the details now on your screen. Belgrade Police Chief Dustin Lensing tells us that an argument started late Friday morning and lasted into the early hours of Saturday. This all happened near Westward Circle and Cheery Lane. Lensing says the suspect fired shots into an occupied vehicle during this argument. The man currently being held without bond at the Gallatin County Detention Center. And the Broadus community is reeling this week from the tragic loss of 18-year-old Riggins Schaefer. The teen was killed in a crash after pulling over to help a stranded driver. His family has a GoFundMe page online now to help cover funeral expenses. And up on the Flathead, Two Bear Air rescued an injured snowmobiler near Lost Trail Pass Saturday afternoon. Two Bear Air officials were dispatched to Lemhi County, Idaho after Air Idaho Rescue was unable to safely land near the crash site. Two Bear Air used specialized hoisting equipment to rescue the injured snowmobiler. The crash victim was then transported to Air Idaho Rescue for further treatment. And the Rosebud County Sheriff's Office is saying thank you to everybody who helped to identify a suspect after a tire slashing spree across the weekend. In a Facebook post today, they say they do have a suspect in custody. The department says there are at least 10 victims with 14 vehicles and 4 trailers damaged. The Sheriff's Office posted on Facebook that the majority of the spree was seen on the northwest side of Forsyth, but believe it may have been a town-wide crime spree. There's also evidence that the individual went into houses and garages as part of the crime. They asked for anyone with videos or photos or any other information that might help their investigation to call the Rosebud County Sheriff's Office at 406-346-2715. The longest running wildlife festival in the world is back in Missoula. People from all over travel to Missoula for this week-long movie marathon. MTN's Cynthia Carranza has more.
We have 4,000 or 5,000 people from the community show up for that parade and dress as their favorite animals and march up the street.
The Missoula community event kicks off with the Wild Walk Parade in downtown Missoula on April 19th. Following the parade is a week-long marathon of 74 movies, many of which will take place at the Roxy.
Films that are certainly fun and funny and great for kids and adults, and we've also got films for people that are very passionate about the world that we live in. So there's a real mixture.
Missoula welcomes filmmakers from all over the world, including Korea, New England, Canada, and more. The Roxy Theater expects anywhere around 8,000 people throughout the week and said this week is anticipated by many.
It's something that is, for many people, a part of their spring. That, spring doesn't really kick off until the Wild Walk Parade.
Night 1 will kick off with Lost Wolves of Yellowstone, where it will make its debut. Tickets are available on the Roxy's website or at the event. In Missoula, Cynthia Carranza, MTN News.
And now we're going to take a look at the future of Biscuit Basin in Yellowstone National Park. After a powerful steam explosion rocked the popular site, we're now asking if it's going to reopen for this summer season. While nobody was hurt, here's some footage of a close call for visitors. The heavy damage there to the nearby boardwalk. This explosion last year. Over the winter, science equipment and monitoring instruments were left at the site. We're told those readings saw dozens of similar explosions. A close inspection of the debris showed something interesting, we're told, that gives researchers a unique insight into the inner workings of thermal sites.
Small explosive events continue. A couple of these have been observed. There were some scientists out there pulling up some of their equipment in November, and they observed an explosion that lasted a few seconds and went about 20 or 30 feet high and threw rocks and mud, a lot of water. And then there was a tour group that was passing by on January 3rd, and they observed something very similar.
The Park Service says Biscuit Basin will remain closed and there will be no repairs until the area is deemed safe. Last summer's blast also prompted scientists to place seismic monitors at other thermal areas. And a home where the buffalo roam. In this Montana Ag Report, MTN's Russ Riesinger is taking a look at the growth of the bison industry in Montana and what's drawing some ranchers to it.
Montana has one of the largest populations of domestic bison in the country. Of course, the number of these animals left is just a fraction of what it once was when they were roaming the plains, but it is a number that is growing, and it's an industry that seems to have a bright future.
I've always had an affinity for bison. They're just awesome animals. I just couldn't let it alone, and convinced my family it was a good idea, and here we are.
Ty Stubblefield is a relative newcomer to bison after putting his money on an old cattle ranch in Carbon County and a herd of the animals from Canada.
I had no ranching background whatsoever. So we went and visited a bunch of bison ranches, talked to a bunch of ranchers, had some great mentors. We went through a course called Ranching for Profit.
Bison are the largest mammal in North America, with some of the males weighing up to 2,000 pounds and standing 6 feet tall.
They're not like beef. They've got a wild spirit to them, and they're just chilling right now, but if we open the gate, they'd be in Yellowstone tomorrow, you know.
Bison also take a lot longer to mature than cattle and to get to harvest, about twice as long, but producers say demand for bison meat continues to grow.
It's amazing, higher in iron and B vitamins, lower in calories and fat, cholesterol than beef or even chicken or salmon.
Melinda Anakalea is also fairly new to bison, but not to ranching. She and her husband began raising a herd of bison on her family's century-old ranch near Thompson Falls about 5 years ago. They sell the meat directly to consumers, mostly through their website.
The supply side of things is where the industry is struggling right now. We've built up such a great customer base, and people are realizing, they want bison. And now to get the bison grown and ready to get on their plate is kind of where the issue is.
If we could take that middleman out, ranchers will find it more profitable to sell meat direct to the consumer. The consumer will be happier with their product because they'll know what they're getting and where it's coming from.
Around 80,000 bison were harvested in all of 2023 in the U.S. That's less than the approximate 125,000 cattle that the U.S. beef industry slaughters every single day. So it's still a relatively small industry, but one that these producers believe has a lot of room for growth.
We by no means get rich, but we get to live this lifestyle that's really important to us and our family. And
near Bridger, Montana, Russ Riesinger, MTN News.